Hello and a warm welcome to the show. I'm Stalia Strzemska. And in this episode, we honor one of the most unforgettable and tragic moments in Poland's history, the Warsaw Uprising of 1944. And we begin with a place dedicated to the courageous struggle of Polish insurgents, the Warsaw Uprising Museum. It offers an immersive, interactive experience featuring over 800 artifacts, photographs, audio recordings, and for the fans of the military, a full-scale replica of a B-24 Liberator bomber. Natalia Komarov reports.
On the wall behind me, you can see all the names of the Warsaw insurgents, the people who took part in the Warsaw Uprising of 1944. It is a part of the Warsaw Uprising Museum, an institution which opened in 2004. It was one of the first museums of this kind in Poland, a very interactive exhibition allowing the people to enter the sewers in which the insurgents were hiding from the German bombs, as well as see all the pictures, exhibitions, and also it is a place which often organizes workshops and meetings with the remaining living insurgents, the people whose very names we see on the wall behind me.
The story of the Warsaw Rising is mostly unknown to the people in the world, so they are astonished when they come to our museum, because that's the very first time that they learn what happened to Warsaw during World War II, because right now Warsaw is a vibrant city, beautiful, there are many skyscrapers.
Now, 81 years after the uprising, it still remains a somewhat divisive topic in Poland. Historians still argue whether it was the right decision to start the uprising at all. We spoke to the deputy director of the museum, Mr. Paweł Ukielski, to ask him about how he uses the tools of the museum to share the story in a way that's responsible and nuanced.
We try to present all the levels, all perspectives on the event. We want to stress the values, democracy, freedom, independence that stood behind those young people that decided to fight against Germans. And of course, this is a glorification, but this is glorification of their courage, not of the decision to organize the Warsaw Rising.
The Museum of Warsaw Uprising proved to be a very successful institution, and so it is now going to expand. Within the next few years, we can expect a new building which will store the exhibits of the museum, as well as provide extra space for workshops, concerts and exhibitions.
We came from Szczecin for the Friday commemorations, and today we just want to show Poland's history to our boys, and that's why we're here.
We come here every year. We make sure that the memory of the uprising stays with the younger generation of Scouts, and we hope they will pass it on further.
Over the last few years, the story of the Warsaw Uprising hits even more close to home, as we see the same things happening behind our eastern borders. Now we can see that the dilemmas that the insurgents had and their story is something that still plays out in the world today, unfortunately. For TVP World, Natalia Komarov.
Have you heard of the Warsaw Uprising Mound? Once a post-war landfill built from the rubble of World War II, it has been transformed into a striking urban landmark and a living memorial. Today it stands as a powerful symbol of resilience and remembrance in the heart of Warsaw.
The residents of Warsaw's Czerniaków neighborhood love to spend time in this park, walking, biking, or just relaxing. But it's more than a hip hangout spot. There's history here. In fact, this is an artificial hill, formed from close to 1 million cubic meters of rubble brought here from across the city, which was left in ruins after World War II. In 2023, the rubble was brought to life by landscape architects Justyna Dziedziejko and Magdalena Wnęk, along with the architects Marcin Maraszek and Maciej Kaufman. The place is now known as the Warsaw Uprising Mound. Maciej agreed to show us around his favorite spots.
This is a labyrinth of ruins, which we composed out of 8 baskets filled with Warsaw post-war rubble that we excavated here during the construction works. They form a certain background for the historical exhibition, talking about destruction and reconstruction of Warsaw and also the history of this place. For example, here we can see the photograph of Warsaw Uprising Mound that was still used as a landfill in 1959.
A very long stairway cuts the park in two.
During the construction works, we found many interesting pieces of rubble that we decided to expose here along this path. For example, here we can see a stone cornice, a corner of a building which is not existing. Here people can see and touch the pieces, witnesses of this ruined city.
On top of the hill stands one of Warsaw's most recognizable symbols, the kotwica, or anchor, representing the Polish underground state during World War II. Every year on August 1st, local residents gather here to commemorate the Warsaw Uprising. But the place isn't meant to be all solemn and reflective. Eugeniusz Ajewski, the architect who envisioned the idea of creating a green, recreational area around the hill of rubble, fought in the Warsaw Uprising. He didn't live to see his vision come to fruition, but the architects took his ideas to heart, the feasible ones at least.
For example, he was writing about paragliders starting from this point and flying over the fields in direction of Wilanów.
The park holds a special place in the hearts of the architects who designed it. Some of their family members fought in the uprising.
My grandma, Aleksandra Gunderman, she fought in Mokotów, and her brother and sister also fought in Warsaw Uprising. Her brother who died in 2022, Janusz Gunderman, he knew the project and he was supporting us in this effort.
Today, the park and the man-made hill encapsulate the Polish capital, a city that rose from the ashes. If you ever find yourself in the neighborhood, be sure to pay a visit and think of the people who died for Warsaw to be free, and those who rebuilt it.
Few things inspire filmmakers more than a story of love mixed with sacrifice. And the fate of Warsaw's young fighters continues to captivate the screen. Here's our review of some of the most notable productions. Take a look.
Was it the most heroic or the most tragic event in Polish history? 81 years on, the Warsaw Uprising remains a divisive topic, and its complexities have inspired multiple artists across generations to explore the stories of Warsaw's young soldiers on film. We begin with the great Andrzej Wajda, whose list of fans include the likes of Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio. Kanał, released in English as Sewer, focuses on the less glorious aspects of the uprising. Young, underarmed people, destined to die, hiding in claustrophobic sewers, led by a lieutenant who doesn't believe the Germans can be defeated. This take on the uprising sparked some controversy, but the film won the Special Jury Award at the 1957 Cannes Festival. For today's younger generation, the Warsaw Uprising was reimagined by Jan Komasa in 2014. Miasto 44 is a film about young love blooming amid dust and rubble. It took nearly 8 years to make, and the director consulted living insurgents to ensure realism.
This film offers the best and fullest portrayal of the Warsaw Uprising as it really was.
Another classic features Adrian Brody in the role of the real-life pianist, Władysław Szpilman. Roman Polanski's masterpiece doesn't center on the uprising, but touches upon how it affected the civilians who were only trying to survive. The Oscar-winning film tells the story of one lucky survivor, but for most of Warsaw's residents, the events of World War II brought only death and destruction. City of Ruins is a 3D rendition of what the Polish capital looked like in 1945, directed by Damian Nenov for the Warsaw Uprising Museum. Simulating a flight over the rubble, the short film depicts the sheer scale of the city's destruction. People who remember seeing Warsaw right after the war say they didn't believe at the time the city could ever be rebuilt. While we can never hope to answer the question, was it worth it, we can attempt to understand why the young insurgents took up arms in a doomed fight against a more powerful enemy.
And now, as usual, it's time for Culture Beats. And we begin with a musical journey marking the 81st anniversary of the uprising. Two artists, Julia Pietrucha and Miłosz, have created an album that pays tribute to those who rose up against the Nazi German occupiers. It's not only about the fight, though, but also about fear, willpower, and love.
Jeśli ja polegnę, ty zostań tam, gdzie jesteś mój anioł stróż.
And now on a different note, another music festival is taking place in Poland as we speak. It all began in the 1990s and continues to this day, with the same energy and the same spirit. At Poland Rock Festival, the atmosphere, values and openness to musical diversity remain unchanged. On the festival stage, you'll find artists from Poland and around the world, both legends and newcomers. It is also worth checking out the program of the Wawel at Dusk Festival in Kraków. There, alongside classical music, you'll hear jazz, film scores, and as tradition now has it, a marathon of young pianists. This open-air music event will run until August 10th. Thank you for watching this episode of Pulse of Culture, and hopefully see you at one of the concerts.